Why does your lower belly refuse to flatten no matter how clean you eat or how consistent you stay? The real issue is your body thinks it's in danger every time you eat. And when you're in this fight or flight state, your body shuts down digestion completely and stores everything you are eating as belly fat instead of burning it and eliminating it. And I was stuck in this same cycle of constant bloating and belly fat after everything I ate for years until I figured out how to get my body out of that stress state. And once I did, my digestion actually started working and the belly fat and bloating finally came off. In this training, I'm showing you exactly how to do the same so you can finally lose that cortisol belly for good. So I used to eat with the TV on, scrolling on social media. Sometimes I would be overthinking and worrying or in super loud, chaotic environments. And the results of this caused me to be bloated and fat and not digesting my food. So what I didn't know is when you eat in this state, these chaotic environments, overthinking, worrying, not really paying attention to your food, otherwise known as mindlessly eating, and just scrolling on social media. When you eat in this state, you're in something called the fight or flight mode, okay? And this is also called your sympathetic nervous system, all right? And when you're in this state, your digestive organs shut off, okay? And blood from your stomach rushes to your limbs, your arms and your legs, because your body thinks you're in danger, all right? Our nervous system does not know the difference between different stresses like deadlines, emails, relationships, worrying, social media, right? And social media to us is stress, right? It's very unnatural, all this stimulation, the radiation from the phones, things like that. So our nervous system, the only thing that we were stressed about back in the days was just like running from an animal, right? Being safe. So because of that, our blood from our stomach rushes to our limbs so we can run and our digestive organs shut off, right? Think about digesting food while you're like panicking and running, right? Your digestive organs shut off, okay? So because of this, it becomes undigested waste, right? Your digestive organs shut off, so your food isn't breaking down fully, and that undigested waste shows up as belly fat, okay? So the solution to this is to get into a rest and digest state, right? You want to signal to your body that you're safe so your digestive organs turn on so that food breaks down properly and gets eliminated through your bowels, through pooping, instead of storing it as fat, okay? And the fastest way to signal safety to your body is through your breath, okay? So most people are breathing very shallow and up here in their chest, and it's kind of fast. We're not really taking deep, slow breaths. And we're breathing through our mouths, okay? Now, these three things signal to your nervous system that you're not safe, actually. And if you think about it, this is the same way that we cry, right? We're shallow, chest breathing, fast breathing, breathing through our mouth, right? So it's just kind of like a potentated version of what we're already doing, crying, right? So all of that signals to your nervous system that we're not in a safe place to be eating food and digesting food, right? And we're all unconsciously, we don't realize it, breathing like this on a day-to-day basis, okay? So to breathe correctly, you want to do the opposite. So instead of up here in your chest, you want to breathe through your diaphragm or your belly, okay? And through your nose instead of your mouth. And instead of these shallow breaths, we don't realize it, but we're just taking these small little breaths, a lot of breaths per minute. You want to slow these breaths down and take deeper breaths, okay? So the science behind this is most people are taking 12 to 20 breaths, right? We're taking these very short, kind of just like we don't realize it. It's very unconscious throughout our day. We're not paying attention to our breaths, okay? So most people are taking 12 to 20 breaths per minute. And the optimal therapeutic rate is 5 to 6 breaths per minute, okay? And so the American Heart Association did a study where people that were breathing slower, right, these fewer breaths per minute, and this sounds counterintuitive. You would think, what, like, isn't breathing more healthier? But when you have deeper, more length and more slower breaths, the American Heart Association did a study where they saw lower blood pressure in people breathing slower, breathing less breaths per minute, reduced heart rate, and improved heart rate variability, which is a marker of stress resilience, better oxygenation despite taking those fewer breaths, so their cells were getting more oxygen in them, and reduced cortisol and stress response, okay? So what this means for you, what all of this means is basically your body comes into a balance, in a state where your body can properly rest and digest, feel open and loose to eliminate waste, eliminate toxins, instead of just being tight and holding on to fat and feeling restricted and bloated, okay? So when to do this, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute. You want to breathe like this before your meals for 1 to 2 minutes to get yourself in that rest and digest state, to signal to your body, hey, I am in a safe place to digest and eat, okay? And as you do this, you can work your way up to 4 to 5 minutes before you eat as you get more comfortable with it. The longer you do it, the better, the more extensive it's going to be, okay? And you can also do this anytime you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, right? To come back to your breath and take these longer, deeper breaths, breathing through our nose, breathing through our belly. Again, we're gonna go into it so you can practice now. And throughout the day, you can do this throughout the day. Just remember to come back to your breath. We're all up here in the mental chatter. Things are going on. We're thinking about what we gotta go do after work and eat and prepare and do for him and this deadline, right? But when we just come back to our breath, we can remember, let me breathe through my nose, breathe through my belly, take these longer, slower, and then you immediately feel it. This is like an instant drug. Like you just immediately feel so much more peaceful and calm, okay? Because your breath is a bridge from the mental chatter to the present moment, to your body. And the present moment there's only joy in the present moment, okay? Everything else is just like your thought, your mental chatter's perception and worry and like opinions, right? But when you come back to your breath, there's none of this mental chatter and it's just pure bliss, okay? Besides the point. So how to do it? You want to place a hand on your belly, okay? And place a hand on your chest, all right? And then just inhale through your nose and see whether your chest hand or your belly hand moves, okay? And you want to prioritize that belly hand coming out, okay? So your chest hand might have come out when you take an inhale, but you want to prioritize this belly hand coming out while you're taking that inhale in through your nose, okay? So inhale through your nose and that belly comes out, okay? And then on your exhale, belly should come back in, okay? Inhale through your nose, belly comes out. Exhale, belly comes back in. That's exactly what this looks like. Inhale through your nose, belly comes out. And belly comes back in on that full exhale. Okay? So that is the foundation of how to put your body in a rest and digest state. So try this a few times right now and get comfortable with it. Again, inhale through your nose while pushing your belly out. Okay, and you can keep those hands on your chest and stomach to feel that. And then when you exhale, just let that exhale flow. When you're at that top of your inhale and you're about to exhale, just let that exhale flow out and just make sure that your stomach is coming back in. Okay? And after about 10 to 30 seconds of doing this, you can start to slow and lengthen those exhales to be slower and more lengthy and really getting all that exhale out. A lot of us, when we think about breathing, we think about, just take that big inhale. But really that exhale matters the most, right? Because we have these stored and stagnant emotions and stress and trauma within us that can be let out through the breath. So you want to fully exhale all of that emotion out, okay? And this can be very soft and gentle too, but really just coming to the bottom of those exhales, because that exhale is a sign of rest and digest. Where that inhale, that's kind of more energized, like fight or flight. But that exhale is like really telling your body, like, okay, I'm paying attention to my breath, and we're in a really safe environment and state of mind right now to be able to eat and digest. Like, you know, when you're running, that's when you're like, you're gasping for air. But when you exhale and you're in that place and your body feels that full exhale, that is really signaling to your body and activating all of those digestive organs down there, right? To process your food efficiently, okay? So why this works, you're engaging with your diaphragm muscle in your belly, which is your body's main respiratory muscle. And this activates your vagus nerve, which triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, also known as your rest and digest state. Okay, and this rest and digest state turns on proper digestion, and your body releases digestive enzymes. It increases your gut motility and improves nutrient absorption. So you're actually getting the energy your body needs from the vitamins and minerals in your food. Okay, and there's a huge reduction in the urge to stress eat and emotionally or overeat when you're in this calm rest and digest state. So it's really just coming back to the breath. Okay, whenever we're feeling stressed or we're having these cravings, just come back to the breath. Okay, and breathe like this, those slow inhales, expanding that belly, and then those full exhales, bringing that belly back in, okay? And as you do this, your diaphragm is a muscle, okay? And a lot of our diaphragms are weak because we don't engage with them. We're up here in our chest, stressing out all our neck muscles and shoulder muscles. That's why we're all tight up here, okay? But when you come down here and engage with that diaphragm muscle, that's right there where your digestive system is. You're strengthening that muscle, you're strengthening your whole digestive system and organs, okay? So the fastest bridge, like I said, from the constant mental chatter up in your head to the present moment where only joy exists is the breath, okay? When you focus on your breath, you create gaps or longer spaces between these constant thoughts, right? So when you come back to your breath, you're creating space and you're creating gaps, so you're not living in all these thoughts, because you are not your thoughts, okay? You are just your breath. That's who you are in your body. This brings you back into your body, back into the present moment, okay, of physical reality and not just all this mental. And you're creating more peace in your life, okay? So there's the quick recap. You can screenshot this if you want. And aim to lengthen your breaths by slowing them down, right, after about 20 seconds of doing this. But you also want to ideally, after you get comfortable with this, like I said, those exhales really matter. So ideally, your exhales are the same length as your inhales, or even better, your exhales are a second or two longer, right? So maybe you breathe 1, 2, 3, 4 in, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then, and that might be a little difficult at first, but that should be your end goal. So, and counting does help stay in your breath and not your mind, and just focus on those breaths. But ideally, you want that exhale to be a second or two longer than your inhales. Okay, and this is going to become easier as your diaphragm becomes more flexible and your lung capacity strengthens. So after doing this for maybe, 5, 6, 7 months now, I'm able to do a 10-second inhale. Once I get into it, it takes me about 2 or 3 minutes of breathing to get into this point. And this is a little advanced. Don't let this scare you. You don't have to sit for a couple minutes and breathe. Just do this. Focus on a minute or two on your timer on your phone, a minute or two, and just breathe, inhaling with your belly expanding and coming back in as you exhale. But at this point, I can inhale for 10 seconds and then exhale for 10 seconds, but I can hold at the bottom of my exhale for 10 seconds. So it's a 10-second exhale, 10-second hold at the bottom. So it's a 20-second exhale, 10-second inhale, okay? And you'll see that right there is a 10-second inhale, 10-second exhale, plus that 10-second hold. That's a 30-second breath, okay? So I'm not the best at math, but that's 30 seconds for one breath, okay? And if you think about a minute is 60 seconds, so that's 2 breaths per minute right there. So the lower breaths you can get in a minute, you know, all those benefits that I just had, your heart rate, your heart rate variability, your cortisol goes down. So you really just want to focus on, the point being, don't let that, I know that's super advanced, it took me a while to get to this point, but just slow down your breaths and deepen them and lengthen those breaths, okay? And like I said, yeah, exhales are the rest and digest. Those are most important. So if you can't get that exhale longer than your inhale, you can try just pausing for a second at the exhale before coming back up to inhale. And this is why divers are so chill. Divers are the most chillest people I've ever met, is because they exhale fully before diving into the water, and they're holding that exhale at the bottom before coming up for air the whole time they're swimming. Meaning their exhales are way longer than their inhales, putting them in this constant stress-free rest and digest state. They're always in this rest and digest state. They're always breaking down everything in their food, in their body, so none of it is showing up as belly fat, right? And just some quick tips here to reduce that cortisol belly. Before you eat, and really just pause and ask yourself, you know, am I physically hungry, or am I just kind of eating because I'm bored and I want to distract myself and watch something and I'm lonely or rewarding myself, right? Because a lot of the times we're not really even that hungry, and a lot of the times we're thirsty, right? So I always say, grab a cup of water, maybe some water and lemon or water and lime, or some caffeine-free herbal tea like hibiscus or lemongrass tea, because they're stimulating and they give us that kind of stimulation that we're looking for. A lot of the times food is from just, you know, these emotional cravings are a lack of healthy stimulation. Right? Our body's saying, I want to be stimulated. And the only things that we're really giving ourselves in terms of stimulation in this generation is just food and scrolling on social media or watching TV or movies, right? So you want to give yourself more purpose, give yourself different options to think of when your body wants to be stimulated. So start going on night walks, or whenever it is you crave snacking or foods that aren't good for you. Start going to the park, or if it's cold where you're at, get a walking pad, and you can listen to some amazing audiobooks or podcasts and just sit there and walk, and you're giving yourself that stimulation, right? Or join a pottery class or a dance class or a group that meets 2 or 3 times a week, or learn a language online, or like just have something more purposeful going for yourself if you find yourself always just needing some stimulation, okay? And instead of eating your emotions, really just ask yourself, or you can journal this if you want, what am I truly feeling right now, right? What am I trying to escape? What do I actually need right now, you know? And what am I truly feeling or trying to escape is a big question, you know? Is it boredom? Is it loneliness? And just ask yourself, can I sit with that, right? Because feelings are supposed to be felt. And when we just, you know, numb those feelings with food or alcohol or drugs, or just like not sitting with it, they become stagnant, okay? Feelings are meant to be felt. And when you just sit there and feel it and embrace that feeling, a feeling is just a signal from your body, a message rather from your body saying, hey, you need to feel this right now, okay? For whatever reason it is, just feel it, okay? And when you just sit there and kind of like just face it and just feel it and not be scared of it, not trying to run away from it and go on social media and numb it out or eat food. It dissipates, okay? It passes through you within 30 seconds to 2 minutes, okay? They will always just dissipate. They will always pass through. They're not going to sit in you forever as long as you're sitting with that feeling and allowing that feeling to be felt. Okay, a lot of us think we have these labels of, oh, loneliness or boredom, that's a negative emotion. Let me go numb it out. Let me go eat. Let me scroll. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta learn, it's human nature to just kind of be, right? We're always stimulating ourselves with the phone and these foods and processed junk, right? So we really gotta come back home and just be able to sit with these feelings that come up. And the more we give ourselves that space, you know, they can pass through, and we feel more better when we're out in public, or just in general when we wake up or going to sleep. We feel more clear, right? We don't have all this emotional stagnancy within us, okay? Because when you do numb those feelings that you're labeling as negative and don't want to feel, that puts you in this fight or flight state where your body's just like kind of not regulated. Your nervous system isn't regulated. You're not in this rest and digest state. But when you sit, just breathe, focus on your breath, focus on feeling, even just 2 to 3 minutes a day. I like to put on a timer. I stretch in the morning and I put a timer for about 10, 15 minutes, and I just sit there and just breathe and let whatever feelings come up, you know, be felt. And every time a mental chatter comes in, I just come back to my breath. Okay, and this really shows me, it really showed me that I am not my thoughts, okay? Like, the thoughts are just programs and stories that we've heard our whole lives from our teachers and our old self and our friends and our parents. It's all just these opinions and judgments and worries about the future, worries about the past. It's never in the present moment. The only thing that's in the present moment is what's in front of you and your breath and you coming back to that, okay? So when you do eat, chew slowly and thoroughly, okay? Focus on the taste and the textures and the aromas, okay? Have some gratitude for this food instead of just chowing it down. And just take a breath between your bites. Like, put the fork down, put the spoon down. Just breathe, okay? Just to stay present and not in your head. Because it's really easy, but you know, while you're eating, you know, we're thinking. And maybe it's not something negative, but it's getting us going. And then we're eating and we're kind of just thinking. We're in this like mental movie. But let's just like take that breath, put our fork down between our bites, okay? And really pause and just check in with your hunger and your fullness levels while you're eating. And when you want to emotionally eat, just like I said, go for a walk, or you can get on the ground. If you have a rug or a blanket, you can sit down. It just feels so good to just put your back on the ground and just stretch your legs and your arms. And that brings you back into the present. And again, this puts you in that rest and digest state. Cold showers or a splash of cold water in your face will interrupt your cravings and reset your dopamine, give you that stimulation that you're looking for. Like I said, herbal tea as well. This soothes that emotional hunger. And we really got to stop seeing food as just like comfort or rewarding, okay? Food should taste good, yeah, but a lot of us are only eating for taste. And we forget that food is our medicine. Food is our fuel. Food is our nourishment, okay? It's a source of energy. So what are you doing with that food? Are you just going to go lay back in bed afterwards, or lay back in bed while eating it? Like, see food as like, okay, is this going to nourish me? You know, like I said, it should taste good, right? Put some fresh herbs, put some dry seasonings, you know, some spices, whatever you like in it. Ideally, these should be whole foods, right? We're natural beings, and, you know, nature only grows whole foods. We're whole living electric beings. Sweet potatoes are whole living electric beings. They're not dead, they're not processed, okay? Steam some sweet potatoes or eat some fresh fruits, okay? These are energizing, these are electric. Your body never shuts down even when you're sleeping. It's always going and detoxing and cleansing and purifying. Help it out by eating whole foods, okay? These are real sources of nourishment and they taste good. And when you eat them, they rewire your taste buds to not only appreciate them, but crave them. Because right now your taste buds are hijacked if you're eating lots of processed foods by loads of table salt, which is very unnatural, and sugar, refined sugars, right? So if you eat fruit right now and you don't eat a lot, it might not taste the best. It might taste a little bland because your taste buds are so hijacked from the processed sugar. But as you just eat them, it takes 7 to 14 days for your taste buds to rewire and start craving these healthy foods like your body probably is craving, processed foods right now. And along with your taste buds, your gut bacteria resets as well. Your gut bacteria is created out of everything you feed it. So if you eat bread every day or pancakes every day, when you get hungry, that's a part of your cravings because your gut bacteria is made up of that pancakes or the bread. So just start adding in. Don't focus on too much of taking out, but just add in these new foods so your gut bacteria can be created more of those foods. Okay? And here's some good affirmations. You can write these down, put them on your fridge, put them in your notes, and then screenshot it. You can set it as your phone lock screen, so every time you go on your phone, you can see, I eat to nourish, not to numb. I am in control of my choices. I crave living, electric, hydrating foods like fruits and roots. Okay, these are, you see those little sticky notes, you can put these around your mirror. Like, you're creating a new identity here, right? The question really isn't just how do I lose belly fat, it's how do I create a lifestyle where I want to feel good. Okay, you got to have a reason to feel good, a purpose in your life that makes you feel good. This is why, going back to the classes, this is why I recommended having a group or some classes, something to naturally hold you accountable to want to feel good, right? You're way less likely to validate yourself, getting some late night takeout or binging on some snacks or emotional eating that night if you have a class to show up to the next morning. For me, that was massage school. Also, when I was really into making music, right? That's all I wanted to do. I couldn't show up to the studio or do my work or craft or write lyrics or anything if I was just all brain fogged from food last night. Same with painting clothes. When I was really into painting clothes, right? These are all just hobbies. That's all I wanted to do. I felt so purposeful, right? But if I went and got some takeout, I knew that was the end of my day right there. I wouldn't be able to have that creative energy flow, that electrical flow within me. And just remove the trigger foods, all right? If it's not there, you won't eat it. Like I said, if you're stocked up on fresh, juicy fruit, lots of bananas and dates and steamed sweet potatoes and avocado and some quinoa or some lentils, you're way less likely to just not make those and go get some takeout or go get some chips or whatever, right? So just stock up on fruits. Are king, man. Fruits is what you want to be eating. These are very, very cellularly hydrating and going to lubricate all of that undigested waste sitting in your system, showing up as belly fat. And it's going to break all that stuff down with the natural living activated digestive enzymes in these fruits. Okay? And bananas and dates. Make sure you're not eating your bananas like this, by the way. You want them spotted like a cheetah. That's when they've converted from starch, which is hard for your body to break down, to sugar, natural sugar. Don't fear the fruit, okay? I eat a high fruit diet, and this is how I stay lean and never bloated, okay? But yeah, bananas, dates, these are great sources of density if you're coming down off of, just very hard to digest, dense foods, and avocados. Everything in this presentation releases belly fat. Okay, when you breathe before eating and eat in that rest and digest mode, your food breaks down properly and it gets eliminated through your poop instead of being stored as this undigested waste. And the bloating goes away and the belly fat comes off. And this is how you finally feel light and peaceful and in control of your body. I highly recommend you play this back, maybe in like a quicker speed if you want, and just take notes. Really take notes. I should have even reminded you to do that before this video, but even right now, just write down 1 to 2 key takeaways you got. Grab your journal, grab a piece of paper, or write in your notes right now if you're watching this somewhere where you can't grab a paper, and write down 1 to 2 key takeaways that you learned from this video and implement them. Just start implementing them, okay? And stay consistent with 1 to 2 things from this video that you got, okay? And just come back to your breath always. Your breath is always there for you. If you found value in this training on mindful eating and breathwork for belly fat loss, I want to give you something as a gift for showing up for yourself and watching this all the way through. I'm offering you a free belly fat breakthrough call where we'll go through exactly what you're currently eating, and I'll show you the specific foods that are contributing to your belly fat, and more importantly, what simple swaps you can make with the foods that you're already eating to turn them into fat burning alternatives instead. And by the end of our call, you'll know exactly what is holding you back and have a clear roadmap to finally lose that stubborn belly fat effortlessly without having to kill yourself in the gym. This call is completely free and I just want to help. The link to schedule your free call with me is right below this video. Just click it and pick a time that works for you, and I'll see you on that call. All right, family, I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy healing. Cheers.